Oh, sorry. I thought we were done for the
Nope,
day.
nope. The quarterback of your favorite team has said some more crap.
I thought we were finished.
Awful announcing said Aaron Rodgers recently appeared on the I Can Fly pod, which has 1.7K subscribers on YouTube. It's a relatively unknown pod. I mean, this is good. Like, he said he didn't want to be a distraction anymore to the Jets. Well, then he'll just go on any random podcast, apparently, that has less than 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, at least at the time of recording. They have interviewed Rory McIlroy before, but, he seems to be hell-bent on going on podcasts and spouting his conspiracy theories. He says he's not right-wing, but take a listen to everything he says here, and then you'll make your own assessment.
This is VP, but do you see a potential future in politics for yourself?
I've always thought politics is a total sham. I did a project on JFK when I was in high school and opened my eyes to what was really going on as I read this, narrative, the Warren Commission, and was just like, this is bullshit. And then as you get deeper into it, you realize he was one of, if not the last, true president who fought against the powers that be, who fought against the shadow government, who fought against the deep state, whatever you want to call it.
So what's annoying is like there's kernels of truth here, as with every conspiracy. Yes, the Warren Commission is BS. Yes, JFK, with the Bay of Pigs and with the deep state, if you want to call it that, right? Like there were incredibly powerful forces that were trying to get JFK and that government to push itself into further conflict with the USSR and make the Cold War a hot war and be more antagonistic towards Cuba. And JFK ran, by the way, as an anti-communist, very sympathetic to those kinds of forces, but he was extremely nervous, as he should have been, about getting the United States involved in some sort of massive conflict with the USSR. So after the Bay of Pigs, yeah, he became more skeptical of the deep state. And do I think that there was some involvement by the CIA, by the FBI, at the very least turning a blind eye to an assassination plot against JFK? Yes, absolutely. But where conspiracy theorists like this go so wrong is that this was because that the reason is that the deep state or whatever, the powers that be, wanted antagonism towards communism. It's all about capital. It's all about money. And it's about capitalism. And JFK was challenging to that in the sense that he did not want to openly go to war with the communist power at the time. Right? So I just want to give that context to say he's close. But all of the conclusions that he draws are actually extremely dangerous, as you'll hear in just a second.
Who fought against the powers that be, who fought against the shadow government, who fought against the deep state, whatever you want to call it, and was killed for it. Yeah. But not just JFK. People forget. RFK was killed as well. Mm-hmm. His brother, Bobby Kennedy's father, was also killed. And he fought against the powers that be as well. And I'm proud to support Bobby. I think he's an incredible man. I think he has a vision to change the country. I don't know that it's that easy, but there was just a major change in Argentina. I have a dear friend who's Argentinian, and what's gone on there in a matter of a few months, balancing of the budget, the whole change, and a return of nationalist pride, proud to be an Argentinian.
All right, pause it.
You said
so. He was right. JFK, RFK, right, in the wake of his brother's killing, was going to meet with union organizers in California, was speaking to black people in ways that other candidates weren't at the time. But the powers that be there was that he was challenging capitalism. He was challenging capitalism. He was challenging the deep state in that way, right? And then he turns to praising the libertarian reforms, the pro-capitalist, unfettered free market capitalist reforms in Argentina. They are opposite dynamics, buddy. They are opposite dynamics. And just challenging the powers that be is extremely vague to the point where you've completely lost the plot on the politics of the situation.
It's a fundamentally incoherent political position and historical position.
Ahistorical, absolutely. All right, keep going.
It's like nationalist pride.
No.
Proud to be an Argentinian. You said it after watching Hamilton. Like, I'm a red-blooded American. Like, I love this country. My grandfather fought in the Second World War. Like, I've always been a huge supporter in the troops, men and women who are willing to lay their lives on the line. Now, some of these wars that we fought are absolutely horseshit, and we're
Which ones?
lining the pockets of the Lockheed
Israel?
Martins of the world and fighting these proxy wars all over the world, unfortunately. But the fucking men and women in uniform, I love them, and I get emotional when I hear the national anthem before games. I get emotional when I hear Lee Greenwood's "Proud to be an American," and I think we need a little bit more of that. Like, I think we've lost that appreciation perspective. Like, there's one of my all-time favorite.
Was that it? Yeah. That was the part. Yeah. We can skip ahead because he starts talking, just rambling about a song that he likes. So his totally non-right-wing solution to the deep state is more nationalism. It really is frustrating to see somebody have you're right there, buddy. You're about to criticize powerful interests in this country and then come to the exact opposite conclusion that you need more nationalism, more pride about being an American. That is actually not what the conclusion that we should be drawing, okay? I mean, it's confusing to me too, because back in the day, he was supportive of Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem. And now all of a sudden he's saying that we've lost national pride. Well, why were you supportive of Colin those times before, saying that, there were issues with this country? Now we need to be stoking national pride. He's not just lost it, he's also changed. Like, his perspective has changed based on what we saw before. But, go ahead, Bradley.
No, I was just saying that I'm not only approaching this from an aesthetic perspective, but he doesn't look good.
He also was on the verge of tears talking about Lee Greenwood, as you were saying off camera, Trump's favorite song. Let's now play. Yeah. He goes on to explain even more his worldview here, and he has more conspiracy theories at this time. But I guess politics apparently is a total sham. Except this is why he supports Bobby Kennedy.
Bums who've been in government forever, who are insider trading like crazy and lining their pockets during their terms and post-career. How's that working out? Yeah. How's that working out for the average Joe, middle class or lower middle class like I grew up? How's that working out for those people? Not too good. How's it working out? Housing prices, cost of food, the inflation that's going on. Healthy food. Chronic disease that we have in this country, homelessness, unemployment. How's it working out? As we give, billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight a proxy war.
Well, that is real.
We have a southern border that's, being invaded.
Yep.
You listen to Mr. Weinstein on Rogan, it's pretty scary, some of the stuff that's going on, the different camps that are down there of individuals. Some people, Chinese nationalists,
not
of military age, other South American, Central American people, kind of different ways of they're treated in their different camps, and a lot of scary stuff there. But just the country's in a bad place, and it's not going to get better with Weekend at Bernie's, who can barely put a sentence together, if that's even him. Yeah. It's not going to get better.
If that's even him?
I don't think, with Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump, who had 4 years to do it and kept Anthony Fauci in charge.
All right, pause it. Okay. So the subtle.
So that's the issue with what Trump did during those 4 years, was keep the head of the National Institute for Infectious Diseases.
But he still has more respect for
Right.
him because he calls him Mr. Trump there.
Mr. President Trump.
And then he says, Biden, if that even is him. So
Into Bernie's. Oh, this guy's so...
literally he's trying to say that Biden's being like in the way that people used to say that Paul McCartney got replaced or Avril Lavigne got replaced by some sort of lookalike. This is what he believes. He believes Biden, but he challenges his belief system. I'm not sure. I forget how my brain kind of just got fried listening to this, but at one point he talks about how he grew up in like a fundamentalist religious household, and or maybe not fundamentalist, but extremely religious Christian household. And that was part of what I liked about him back in the day, which was he was kind of critical of religion and hierarchy and those kinds of things. But you see when it gets to this point where it's literally pathological, where he challenges all of these preconceived notions, right, that are just like fundamental realities about our society, and has completely lost the plot about what is actually challenging power in a healthy way and what is going batshit crazy. All right, keep going.
Had 4 years to do it and kept Anthony Fauci in charge after his record on AIDS, with AZT, with all these other ridiculous, supposed pandemics that he was in charge of.
Supposed
crazy.
pandemics.
And how the chronic disease level, since he's been in some sort of office in the 80s, has exponentially gotten worse. Autism rates have gotten worse. Childhood diseases, comorbidities, just the general health and wellness of our society. Look at old 1950s and 60s presidential fitness programs where everybody's fit. Look at pictures of the beach.
Exactly.
We have
Right.
healthy, skinny people, and now
White
you have,
people.
A high
Separate
percentage
from
of
black
kids
people.
are obese. High percentage of adults are morbidly obese. You had the majority of people dying from COVID had at least 3 comorbidities that they were dealing with. Like, we're not getting better having these people in charge.
Yeah.
So why not make a change? And I'm going to support Bobby and keep spreading his message. But the two-party system that we got in place doesn't work. Hasn't been working. Hasn't been working really since JFK was in office. And we need somebody who's willing to lay it on the line. That's what I love about Bobby. Think about it. They killed his uncle.
Here we go.
Killed his dad. We know CIA was involved, right? I mean, they can't declassify it because it's so damning. We know the FBI was involved. Hoover hated the Kennedys.
Yeah.
True.
Hated them.
But-
Alan Dulles was fired as the director of CIA after he botched the Bay of Pigs and tried to get Operation Northwoods to happen to literally start World War III and invade Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
He was fired. He was on the fucking Warren Commission. Alan Dulles was. As was Gerald Ford, who was the right-hand man of J. Edgar Hoover, who hated the Kennedys. Like, we know they're involved. But so Bobby loses his uncle, JFK, his father, RFK. His cousin dies in a plane crash when he was running against Hillary Clinton. Like, I'm not saying that's a conspiracy, but it's kind of a weird coincidence. Bobby's in danger, Like, he's putting himself on the line.
Yeah.
Why? Because he fucking believes in this country. He believes in this country. He believes in the good in people, and he believes he can make a difference. That's somebody I can get behind who's going to lay it on the line. Because that is, like I said earlier, the archetype of everything we love about Luke Skywalker and Han Solo.
Oh,
Everything we love about Frodo and Sam and Aragorn and Gandalf and Merry and Pitt. Right? Everything that we love about Gamora and Groot and Rocket and Drax, like and Chris Pratt's character in Guardians.
Yeah.
It's these people believe in something. Sometimes they can't explain it. Like in
okay, wait, that's
Gladiator.
all. I had to get to the part where he compares Bobby Kennedy to Groot. That was the part I had to get to.
When he said Gamora, I was like, is he talking about the Bible? Like, that was a bad story. No, he's talking about Gamora from freaking Guardians of the Galaxy. He's talking about Marvel. I can't believe it. These people, they're not people. They're not real.
Oh, you're telling me that
They're superheroes. They're fake.
Merry and Pip are not people. How about Aragorn? Okay, I mean Aragorn was one of the humans in Lord of the Rings. So you're trying to tell me that he's not people?
I don't understand how somebody who takes himself so seriously is literally alluding to in a way that and somehow in how he's like seeing a more prosperous or like utopian America is alluding to people who aren't real.
I know.
They're literally characters.
The reason they're an archetype, buddy, is that that doesn't exist in reality. But like, I mean, again, I will say this: that's all we have for him. I just wanted to get to the part where he compared them to Luke Skywalker.
Groot's a tree person.
He also is accusing Hillary Clinton of being involved in the plane crash death of JFK Jr., which is just like not cool. I mean, Again, I was just saying, look, I love my Real Housewives, and I have a special affection for Carol Radziwill. Like, that was a pretty traumatic event for people. They died really tragically. Let's not make it into something that isn't even true. Hillary Clinton, yes, became the senator from New York, but what he was running against her based on what?
You only say that with the qualifier of I'm not trying to spread a conspiracy theory, but it's a unique coincidence for the exact reason of furthering that conspiracy and making people question whether that was a unique coincidence of whatever you're formulating.
Yeah. JFK Jr. was not running against Clinton for the open seat, although he did have an exploratory meeting about it in March 1999 before concluding he was not ready.
So Hillary Clinton
heard about that.
So Hillary Clinton in her coveralls took a wrench to that helicopter and killed JFK Jr. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just like she dragged Seth Rich's body to the park
and killed Vince Foster.
And killed Vince Foster. Yeah. All of those people that
Should we maybe consider why so many of these guys have these fantasies of Hillary Clinton murdering people as opposed to the idea that she murdered these people? Why are they so hell-bent on imagining this lady killing people?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's something real. There's something, and I'm not. And listen, I for the most part, across the board, I hate Hillary Clinton. But like, I'm saying,
oh yes, I hate her too.
I'm saying this like there is a level of real, genuine psychosis with this shit.
Oh yeah, well it's like it's all of it. It's misogyny. It's this like magical thinking about powerful people as if it's not just like this shadowy corruption that we talk about. Where I concede to him, a lot of he actually said some correct things about Dulles and about the Warren Commission and about, you know, some of the shadiness involved and the fact that there probably was some CIA involvement in the killing of JFK and RFK. I mean, at the very least, they probably had intelligence about it and didn't do anything. That's my assessment of things. But, you know, everything else is crap. Every conclusion he comes to is crap. And then when he says he's not political and that the two-party system is bullshit, he believes all this right-wing stuff. All of it. That there are Chinese nationals at the southern border. That, you know, Hillary Clinton killed JFK Jr.
Or even just referring to it as an invasion. That is absolutely without question, no matter who he says he supports, that's right-wing language.
Absolutely.
That's right-wing rhetoric. That is stuff that Stephen Miller has basically put into the ecosystem of how we talk about immigrants and immigration.
And you know what even is amazing, too? Even his fixation on the archetype. And when he's talking about, like,
it's
Luke
Tim
Skywalker,
Pool shit.
It's Tim Pool.
It's literally Tim Pool shit.
Right.
It's imagining a world where fiction. Listen, I'm not saying that, like for example, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair was technically a fictional book, and it inspired real world change because it was about a guy working in a meatpacking plant in New York in the early 1900s. Guardians of the Galaxy is about a guy who literally lives in space with a anthropomorphic raccoon and a tree person friend and a completely blue lady and her cyborg sister. There's nothing about it that translates.
Wow, you don't really see how that completely relates to the .com market.
Yeah, or to legal immigration or to health food in the United States. Yeah, and the other thing to your point about the magical thinking aspect, as opposed to actually thinking about the mundane indignities and inequities that we exist in every single day of our lives in this country. I don't see Aaron Rodgers in any way being like That's why we need to strengthen labor protections for
Yes.
people. That's why we need to make sure that healthcare is.
He used to be the representative, by the way, for the Green Bay Packers in the union. So I mean, he has lost his mind. He is a prime example. Psychedelics do not make you more liberal. Sometimes, if you're narcissistic or you have delusions of grandeur,
You
it
think
makes
you're a
you more
messiah.
convinced of
Right.
your bullshit, and that's exactly what we're seeing with this guy.
And the other thing, saying that, speaking of the thing with like saying that our country's so obese, it was better in the 1950s. As we were saying, sort of off mic there, saying anything was the best in the 1950s, even if he wants to make it as so narrowly as how people appeared aesthetically and how people appeared in terms of their actual physical appearance. You are, no matter any way you slice it, acknowledging that you would prefer a society that was segregated, that was predicated and built upon severe, unapologetic racial violence with impunity. So you could say that these people on the beach in these photos were skinny.
I mean, what is he talking about too? Life expectancy has gone up. Infant mortality.
Right.
I mean, infant mortality's down. Right. I'm trying to get it right. Health outcomes have improved over time. So okay, maybe people look a little fat compared to you, and in your estimation. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about.
Which is also even a body image concern. Which there's been a lot of research that does not always comport with physical health. Like,
I mean, people rates of cancer are down. The reason that maybe hunger looks different in a fast food society versus back then is that now it's about malnutrition and not good healthcare versus not having literal food to feed yourself. There's little differences, and we have made improvements as a society in that way.
Or maybe grocery stores could either be publicly owned, or so that some of the prices would go down, or there'd be price controls on groceries, or maybe every food desert that is basically disproportionately in every single black and brown neighborhood, so that people's options when they are economically when they're impoverished or immiserated by society, aren't just McDonald's and going to the fucking Dollar Tree for shit.
Yeah.
How about that, Aaron? I guess that probably doesn't make sense because you wouldn't have fat people to kick around.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say is just the inability to process that our society is fucked up enough as it is, that you don't need to imagine this shit, is that the prime example of that to me is how much people have latched onto the fact that the camera footage from Jeffrey Epstein committing suicide, that the tapes were basically either written over or the camera stopped working, or whatever the case may be. That basically every investigation points to the fact that it was a complete bureaucratic and administrative malfunction. Instead of Aaron Rodgers or anyone in his ilk potentially thinking, wow, our prisons are probably some of the most undemocratic, torturous, vile places on the planet, and not because of who inhabits them, but because of who operates them. We treat people like they're zoo animals, surveilling them, treating them like garbage, and that error is emblematic of something that Jeffrey Epstein, for the monster that he was, still there was not enough responsibility from anyone involved there to make sure he was being properly taken care of or looked after.
Or at least considering that possibility.
Even the people who in the most punitive society, which is the one that we basically live in, that every single person who commits a crime deserves to be punished within an inch of their lives, how we do not give a shit about those people, and that we do everything we can to dehumanize them. I wonder if Aaron Rodgers has ever thought about that, or he thought, I sense a conspiracy is afoot. Why were the tapes missing? There's no appetite whatsoever to deduce a structural critique of literally anything, because it's easier and more fun and more interesting and more touching of the stoking the coals or putting your hand on the stove type of construction to say, yeah, this is a conspiracy. And honestly, are you offended by what I'm saying? Is it bothering you that I'm a little bit that I'm at the next level? There's something so personally odious and personally devious and pernicious about doing this with the attitude and with the intention of why he's doing it, which I know from the way he says it.
It's a
without having to know Aaron Rodgers personally.
It's a libertarian construction, right? I mean, everything is about the individual and different actions and shady people behind the scenes, but there's never we've created systems and that's why people are immiserated. And so that's just libertarian conservatism. That's basically it. And I love how special he thinks he is. But in the reality, no. This is just like how your politics are incredibly standard in that way.
But anyway, can't wait to see him back on Sundays on the gridiron.
Yeah, what are you thinking? 7-11 this year? Or 7? Wait, sorry, no. 17 games. 7-10. 7-10.